Hello everyone, Ben here, and we are back in RaceRoom at Laguna Seca, just getting ready for the GTR1, GTR2 multi-class ranked race. Really looking forward to this one. We're in the BMW GTR2. It's one of my favourite cars in RaceRoom. Just before we get going, a word of warning: there has been the odd server issue on RaceRoom of late, and that led to a couple of freezes in this race. It's also meant that we couldn't use the replay cameras because cars were picking up visual damage which just looked a bit silly. So I've tried to work around that. Hopefully you enjoy the video anyway, as the red lights go out and we are underway at Laguna Seca. We have to take avoiding action as the car ahead of us gets a bit of a poorer start, or he himself has to get out of the way, I think, of a slower starting car up the road, and there's contact just ahead of us and we're heading into T1. And if you keep your eyes just up ahead, Celine is going to get a little tap from behind as well in the GTR1 class, and they go off to the left hand side. So a very hectic first couple of corners. We're just going to cede a position to ASEAN in the Corvette up ahead of us, but we've held our third position. So we had a very good qualifying in the top three, but it's very, very competitive just behind us. I'm expecting a race-long challenge from Correa, who's currently in fourth, from Carlson, from ASEAN, who are in first and second, and from Rodriguez, who's dropped down to sixth. All of our times in qualifying reasonably close together. As we come up then towards the corkscrew for the first time, you can see then we get our first bit of server freeze. I think this will be the only bit that makes the edit of the video, but you can see just how disconcerting it is when all of the other cars disappear momentarily. But we got through there okay. I'm a little bit nervous at this point that it's going to continue through the race, but we press on. We're in third place, coming towards the end of the lap here, just trying to feather the throttle through the corners here at Laguna Seca. There really is a huge premium on patience when you're driving in this class of cars at this circuit. Just try and focus on slow into the corners, get to the apex, and then you can power out, and the car at 60% traction control, which is what we're running here, will slide through the corners and you'll be able to get on the power nice and early. But if you go in too fast, then you'll pay the price of that all the way through the corner and then on to the next straight. We're a little bit too narrow there into the right-hander. That might give Correa a little bit of impetus behind us, but again, we're going to just try and get through this right-hander in one piece and then power on down the straight. Let's take a look back at that start then, because there was plenty of action all around us. We're in the Deutsche Post liveried BMW there, just on the inside. You see the car spearing off to the left. There's another accident further down the field, and then the Celine getting nudged around in T1. That's going to cost him big time, and we're just going to need to look out for him coming back through the field, because of course he is in the faster GTR1 class. It's a bit of a feature of this race actually that the classes get quite mixed up. The faster drivers in the GTR2 class, of which we happen to be one in this race, are actually a little bit quicker than the slower cars in the GTR1 field, and that can lead to a bit of complication as these cars are quicker in a straight line, and therefore when it comes to trying to break away from the faster class, it can be very, very difficult, and you end up stuck in a bit of a battle which can then slow you down against other GTR2 runners. We've cut then towards the end of the lap just to avoid that server stutter as we come through the final corner. Then you can see just how close behind the car is immediately behind us, as he's almost pushing us through the final corner on the lap. We rejoin then about a third of the way into the race. We've held our position in third. Ignore the timing tower there. Because of the server issues, it's a little bit out of kilter. But we're coming then through the corkscrew, down the hill again, and if you look up ahead, you can see we've got one of the the GTR1 class, but then P1 and P2 in the GTR3 are battling really hard. That's Carlson up in first place and ASEAN just behind him. And we're going to just look now at the pop-up camera, because they're about to go very close together into T1. We're on board with ASEAN as he's coming down into the braking zone, and he just taps Carlson. You see then on the main screen Carlson getting punted out into the gravel trap. That's going to give us second position in this race. An unfortunate one there. I don't think it was in any way intentional from Asian, but a bit clumsy, misjudged how close he was running to Carlson, and that was enough to put Carlson into the gravel. He's rejoined in 5th place though, so I don't think it's going to be the end of Carlson's race by any stretch of the imagination, but it means we're now running in 2nd place. We got Miguel in the GTR1 class just up ahead of us, and then Asian running in 1st place in the GTR2 class. Behind us, Correa, Rodriguez, and then, as I say, Carlson rejoined in 5th place. So a really promising, if quite chaotic, start to this race for us. I'm really now hoping that the kind of middle section of this race we're able to just stabilise our pace a little bit. But as I said at the very beginning, qualifying in this field was very, very close, and I certainly think that Carlson in particular has got some excellent pace. But equally I think that's true of Rodriguez as well. So I'm bracing myself for the fact that we're probably not going to be able to catch up to ASEAN, and therefore we might be looking more in our rear view mirror for the rest of this race and trying to hold on to 2nd place, or at minimum a podium, given we started in 3rd on the grid. Heavy on the brakes then into T1, we get it slightly deep there, and that's going to allow Correa behind us to close in slightly, but we're able to get a better exit from the corner. By and large, the first sector of the lap has been our strongest throughout practice, qualifying, and then the early stages of this race, and it's allowing us to build enough of a gap into the midsection of this race where we perhaps lose a little bit of time to the cars around us, but it means that we're able to be safe from any overtaking opportunities as a result. But if we again look at the pop-out camera here, we're on board with Rodriguez. He's coming through behind us and he just runs wide and out onto the gravel. That's going to drop him back in the field. It's going to give Correa behind us a little bit of breathing space, and it means that he's probably now out of contention for the time being for trying to press into the podium positions, and it will probably put Carlson right on the back of Rodriguez, and in fact it has. If you look at the timing tower now, which has corrected itself, Carlson is only a couple of tenths behind Rodriguez, and it's going to be those sorts of small margins that might decide the final running order here in this race, because our pace is so closely matched, at least at this part of the race. Up ahead you can see the GTR1 car. Miguel is just trying to get around ASEAN down the main straight. Behind us though, here goes Carlson on Rodriguez, trying to squeeze down the inside to claim that position for himself, and he's able to do it. So he's back now up into 4th position. All go here as we're just trying to maintain our pace as best we can. You can see ASEAN is getting frustrated by the GTR1 car up ahead. That's going to hold him back. I actually think of the GTR2 field, ASEAN's pace is significantly better than he's been able to run in this race because of having to tangle with that GTR1 car. We fast forwarded then about 3 minutes in this race. We've managed to hold station in 2nd position, but look in our rear view mirror. Carlson has got past Correa and he's now closing right in on our rear wing, and we are going to have our hands full holding him back in the final third of this race. We run slightly wide through the right hander there, get on the brakes at the 3 board, then get the car turned in nicely for the main straight. Look at that, the GTR1 car up ahead of us running wide. That's going to give ASEAN a chance to get back past him, but all the while it's costing him time. But we can only look in our rear view mirror. Here's the view of Carlson behind us. He's going to dive down our inside. We're going to give him enough space on the inside, but to try and prioritise our exit, he's span. He's gone round. In the cockpit I really wasn't sure where he'd gone to, and so I give him a little bit of room on the outside, imagining he might still be there, but he was actually round in T1, and he's dropped back to 4th position in the GTR2 field, behind Rodriguez now, Correa in 5th, but he's also gone behind one of the GTR1 cars in Emery, and I think Emery was the Celine that managed to spin in T1 on lap 1. We fast forward again then to just a minute left in this race, and I'm hoping we're just about to begin our final lap, because now the GTR1 car is just behind us as he's making his way back through the field, and so I'm conscious he is going to catch us at some point during this lap. It might even be into T1, but we've got enough speed into the corner, late enough on the brakes. He closes right in on us, but we're able to get through the corner still ahead I am quite keen that he just gets past us, to be honest, and that we lose as less time as we can in getting him by, because he's going to be much quicker than us on the straights. This is probably where it's going to happen. He's closing in on us big time here. We're going to just keep to the racing line, make him do the work down the inside, but it does mean we have to go wide through this corner. And look at Carlson. He's closed right in behind us, trying to take advantage of the fact that we had to take a wider line into that corner. He's right on our rear wing now. We're going to have to try and get as good a line through the left-hander there as we can. We're side by side coming up the hill towards the corkscrew. This is going to be pretty hairy. We get on the brakes later than him. We hit the apex nicely, but we're very much nearly out of shape on the second part of the corner. We just about hold it, and we've kept the position. All of this though has brought Rodriguez into play behind him as well. We're running so close on track, the three cars. We get a little nudge down the hill there. That's going to give us a little bit of breathing space because Carlson's had to drop back, but he's late on the brakes. We have to take a defensive line into the final corner of the lap, and much to my dismay, the checkered flag is not out, so we're going to have to go another lap, and that might well be the decisive factor in us being able to hold this second position or not. Carlson's down our inside here. We're going to have to hang it around the outside. He span the last time he tried this. Is he going to be able to keep it this time? It looks like he is. We're side by side here, banging doors on the exit of the corner. We're going to have the high ground for the next corner, but we run it in slightly deep. He's gone for the switchback. He's going to have a better exit than we are. He feints to the outside, then he comes to the inside. He's down our inside. He forces us slightly wide, and he has squeezed his way through. What a brilliant battle that was. Unfortunately, we've come out on the losing side. We get a tap from behind from Rodriguez, who's now interested in trying to get past us as well, and he's got Correa behind him. So this is going to be a really intense last half to the lap here in Laguna Seca. We get a decent enough run through the left-hander, but actually it looks like Rodriguez behind us is quicker. He's going to be closing in on us all the way into the corkscrew. We're going to get on the brakes as late as we dare. Oh, but the car tries to get away from us under braking. That's going to give Rodriguez the chance to get through, and he bullies his way past through the corkscrew. He forces us onto the curbing, and he's gotten past as well, and all of a sudden, from running comfortably, well, relatively comfortably in the podium positions all race, we've actually lost it with just a couple of corners to go, and we're now under pressure from Correa as well behind us in the BMW. We get a poor exit from the final corner, but it looks like we might just have enough in order to hold on to fourth position. But wow, what an intense final lap. It all just got away from us, unfortunately. Let's take a look back then from the chase cam of Carlson here. He can see that we're on the outside as the GTR1 car is going through against us. That's going to give him the run, a much quicker run through the corner. He's on our outside though, so he can't get past there. We're not going to be able to go side by side through this corner, otherwise he'd end up in the gravel. But he does get a better run through the corner. He's going to be on the inside for the corkscrew, but it's going to be a brave man who tries to get past here, as Rodriguez will on the next lap. Carlson thinks better of it though. He gives us a little nudge through the corner. We're going to be side by side on exit as well, but there's no room for him to pass there. He is all over our rear wing as we come down the hill now. He gives us another little tap which nearly gets us out of shape. He's running very, very hot, trying to recover positions, Carlson, from being punted earlier in the race. He's late on the brakes into the final corner of the lap, and he's going to get a better exit through that corner, which is going to give him a run on us down into T1. Here he comes then, he's down, he's got to the inside, he's going to nearly get off onto the green runoff area. We're going to go side by side through T1. We're later on the brakes than him. He manages to hold it this time. There's a little bit of contact all the way through the corner, but it's great racing as we're able to hold him off and then have the high ground for the next corner. But look at that, a brilliantly executed switchback move, which means he can feint to the outside then duck to the inside. We don't see it coming, we're a little bit flat-footed, and he's able to squeeze on by. Then later on in the lap, we're on board now with Rodriguez. We're just up ahead. We're going to get out of shape on the brakes. We just hold it from being a much bigger accident, but that gives Rodriguez the chance to get through. He forces us out onto the curbing, and that was enough to take the position. Just time to catch our breath then and have a look at the final classified results. A really enjoyable race. I do love racing in these cars. I'm disappointed not to have held on for the podium, but in the end it was a very, very enjoyable race. And actually, if you look at the best lap times, I think we probably finished where our pace suggested we were going to. It would have been a bit of a steal if we'd gotten second or third, but losing it so late in the race, always going to be a bit disappointing. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, leave a like, get subscribed, and I will see you next time.